It says it's connected.
Who did you go? Asked Bard Wannabe.
Okay, okay, we're coming back on. Sorry about that, guys. We had a brief little hiccup. Not for commercials. The commercials are from Twitch. The commercials are from Twitch. Okay, sorry about that, guys. We had a brief little hiccup. Then Twitch came in and made commercials. We haven't inserted commercials on the Twitches yet. We don't know if we are going to make that a practice yet or not. We don't get a lot of Twitch. Mostly Twitch is the means for which we record and then ship to YouTube and then more importantly switch to audio. But magic items and stuffs.
Yeah, well, then we get 4 pages of spells, 2 pages of which are dedicated to poison, 2 pages of which are dedicated to dirty tricks. Any poison spells that you liked?
Not a poison spell. It's technically a poison spell, but I have a fun little low-level spell I like now, Guardian of Peril, which sounds all evilly, but it can also be flipped to also be whimsical because it's not an actually devastating effect. Basically, you summon up a whole bunch of mushrooms, and people that are near the mushrooms get sick, which means it's also a non-lethal measure for non-lethal characters and also a cool poisony thing for poison characters, which means it's a spell that can serve a lot of different character archetypes well. And I kind of like the idea of magic sick mushrooms.
Now, what about in the dirty trick spells? I have a feeling I know one spell that stood out to you.
Oh, which one?
I'm thinking Greater Grease. You've often sung the praises of Grease, and this is the first time that Grease got an advanced version.
The problem is like Grease didn't need an advanced version. It never got bad. I'm glad that it got an advanced version. So, I mean, it's cool. It's bigger. It's nicer. But the one that I actually stood out in here was Blend with Surroundings.
Why is that?
Okay, first, 10 minutes a level, so it's a nice long-lasting spell. It's a level 1 spell, which means that you can, even though it's situational, it's a level 1 spell, so you don't really care. That's where you put a lot of your situational spells after you get higher level. And it gives you a plus 20 bonus to stealth checks, and allows you to stealth in plain sight as long as you stay still. So this is also perfect for a lot of different reasons. For spying, for setting up ambushes, for, holy crap, the rogue really needs a sneak attack. Where'd the rogue go? Even though the rogue's still right there next to the guy. So it's a really cool, and it's a teamwork. It's something that sets up synergy between parties. I like it. Anything that makes a party member help another party member be awesome simultaneously makes them awesome and makes them like each other and makes them work together.
I really like Selective Invisibility.
Yes, yes. Oh gosh, but that's a villain spell.
Yeah, I know, but it's something I've brought up often and for years now how much I liked bugbears in Classic Monsters Revisited, specifically because it describes them as turning invisible except for one person who they then haunt and torment, like the gremlin on the wing that only William Shatner can see. Selective Invisibility is that same ability that bugbears never had until very recently, but now it's just a spell that alchemists, anti-paladins, bards, inquisitors, magus, or magi, sorcerers, wizards, and summoners can cast. It turns you invisible to everyone except for a specific target in range, and as long as you're attacking that target, your invisibility does not end.
And it sets up so many cool RP moments where just one of the party members just starts to get the crap beat out of him, and nobody knows why. And he's like, "There's a halfling kicking my butt from the waist down over here. Somebody do something." It's fun. I like it. Yes, but as like I said, I saw this and I didn't see it as a player spell, and I play a lot of casters, but more like I'm going to give this to an NPC, and they are going to hate it.
Owen argues it is an awesome hero defensive spell.
Interesting.
You know,
yeah, well, it does. Like, let's say you throw this on the rogue, and he goes in and he hits his target. It means he's not, because a rogue has to be on the back line anyway. It means that he's not automatically also a target of everything else in the immediate vicinity. Yeah, it's a super defensive spell. I hadn't thought about it that way because it basically it's like inverted crowd control.
Yeah, it also, if So hold on. If you're the rogue and you cast this,
Yeah.
I'm not sure I understand your example.
Yeah, because okay,
The
rogues
rogue would
can
have to
cast
be
things.
the third level spells, though.
Yes, third level scroll.
Oh, okay. Yes, there we go. If you're done with the scroll, then you can cast invisibility on yourself, and I'm not invisible to the wizard, so that as you're sneaking up, he doesn't accidentally blow you up.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I get you then.
And plus,
I thought you were saying a wizard is casting it on the rogue, and then that I didn't follow.
Well,
but
wand scroll. If you're a wizard, you have Scribe Scroll. The rogue has used magic device. This is a partnership that often works together.
I am a martial player, Param. You have to spell these things out to me.
Sorry, yes. Rogues can cast any spell, basically. But you can just count on the rogue to cast any spell as long as a party member is willing to hand it to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Alex in chat is backing you up.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's a common tactic I use a lot. My wizards often pair with rogues, and we devise ways that this happens. That's why Grease is one of my favorite spells. Mm-hmm. Congratulations, rogue! Sneak away. It's good stuff. And that brings us to the end of the book.
Indeed.
And,
now, Param,
sorry.
It's been a while since we've done a read magic segment.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the last couple of years, we've basically only been reviewing the hardcovers, and every now and then a book or some other book that comes to our attention.
Well, no, we also heavily have been reviewing the novels.
Yes, that's true. Okay, so we've been doing hardcovers and novels pretty often, but it's been a while since we've given the player companion line its love.
Right.
And I think that's a little unfair, especially the toolbox ones have been a lot of fun crunch that are applicable to people that play in Galarian and don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this last year has been the player companions have been great, because we've got the summoner, the I forget what the summoner one was called, but the one for summoners, the melee and range tactics toolbox, the dirty trick toolbox. They've been really hitting them out of the park lately.
Mm-hmm. So I would like to make more of an effort to make sure we do cover more of the player companion line, because it is a solid line. It is something that I enjoy, even though I haven't been giving it the attention that I used to. I think it's mostly because I'm playing less Pathfinder Society lately, and I'm a GM. So, the Monster Summoner's Handbook, by the way, is what you were looking for. Yeah, so I'm just not thinking of the player companion line as much as I should.
Right. It's
you
one of the best lines.
It is, and like any one book gives you multiple builds. Like in Pathfinder Society, where you are forced to bring all the material that you use. One of these books, like let's say you're gaming on a budget, one of these books can get you multiple characters. They're easy to bring around. I feel bad for neglecting this line, and I'm glad that I'm back. I'm glad that it's back in my face.
It's also the cheapest line, so it's the least investment going. Though we have to mention that this book is steadily risen from the starting days of $7.99 all the way up to $14.99 now. But I guess that's the way of the world. But still, it's cheaper than any of the other books, and they're very much worth it. And this one has less zoo books than the previous ones, but they do still. You can tell Paizo's magazine roots are still very present in this line in particular. This and the Adventure Path. It very much feels like you're reading a Dungeon and a Dragon when you're reading these books.
Well, Bard Wannabe mentions that Heroes of the Street is great too. I think that next time that we do a non-hardcover podcast where we have a read magic segment, Heroes of the Street is probably the next thing we're going to be reviewing.
But the very next thing we're going to be reviewing, and I guess it's safe to announce it now, is we are going to have another all hands on deck episode where we're going to deep dive occult adventures for the Occult October, where just like we did a Hell of an August, we're going to be doing Occult October, where every episode and feature is going to be very occult theme, and we're going to be kicking that off, of course, with myself, Ryan, Alex Agunas, and Anthony Lee as we go for a very special all-length episode dig into occult adventures and give it a proper review. So make sure you tune in for that. That's going to be fun.
Which, by the way, Param, the original plan was to do that on the 7th. But I am in New York for New York Comic Con on the 7th, so we are going to have to make arrangements.
Right. We will have a schedule and posted and things. So, yes, it will be fun. It will be excellent.
We will be right back to wrap things up right after this.
And we're back.
Thank you for joining us for episode 116 of the Pathfinder News, Reviews, and Interviews podcast, No Direction. Before we go, we want to thank all of our guests once again. Brian Berg from TPK Games, Adam Meyers from Drop Dead Studios, and Mike Myler, freelancer to the third-party publishers. I really enjoyed the chat we had earlier. I was a little worried with the number of people we had, but I, at the same time, wanted to make sure we had at least 3 different third-party publishers represented. And Param, you're the one that really pulled this episode off. You're the one that chose the third-party publishers that we brought in. Excellent choices.
I'm really glad that the episode did not go like I had it outlined. It just sort of lived by itself this time, and I'm glad it did because it really went to a fun place. I would also like to give a shout out for our not so official guests, those that have been helping us out by chiming in the live chat, including Odin, Casey, Stephen, Monica Marlowe, Thurston Hillman, Alex Agunas, and Mike Mylar, who stuck around for chat. Also Jacob Blackman, the artist, who is a great. If you haven't know who Jacob Blackman is, find out who Jacob Blackman is, especially if you're a third-party publisher. He's an up-and-coming artist. His style is getting better and better every time I see his work, and he seems to be fast, reliable, and cheap.
Before we go, I do want to bring attention to some cool things that are happening on the internet right now. Might be of interest to our listeners. First of all, Pathfinder and Q Workshop's Metal RPG Dice Kickstarter by Q Workshop. For those who don't know, Q Workshop has been making the Pathfinder dice since, I believe, the first adventure path. They've definitely got a set of dice specific to each adventure path, and I believe they've been doing it since the release of Rise of the Rune Lords. What they do is that their dice, it's a full set of RPG dice, and then each side has a cool, intricate pattern that ties into the adventure paths. They also have the non-adventure path line, so you've got the Elven one where it's got cool leaf pattern and whatnot. All kinds of things like that, both fantasy and non-fantasy. And what they've slowly done is find new ways to implement patterns. So if you look at some of the early ones, it was the patterns were reserved to the face. But then as they developed their techniques, they were able to find ways to kind of wrap around the corners with their design. And the dice just kept getting prettier and prettier. And then they made a metal line, and the metal line went back to, we're just looking at the face. But what they've done, and what they're kickstarting now, is for the Pathfinder set of dice, where the metal edges will all be as intricate as the faces. So it won't be the wraparound design that we've gotten, say, like the Elven line, but these are... They're more three-dimensional than most metal dice that you see. Most metal dice are flat out just the face. These ones are a step above that, and they're comparably priced to other metal dice that you get from. I do believe Dwarven Forge is probably the one that's best known for their metal dice, and they're Pathfinder in theme. So instead of the highest number on every die, they've got the familiar Pathfinder sword. Sword icon P.
Yep. I didn't know it was a sword.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, totally.
Cool. I didn't know that, and I've been following this game for how long?
Handle.
Oh my gosh.
Handguard.
Higher,
blade.
Higher.
Sorry. Handle, handguard, blade.
Oh, interesting.
And then the rest of it's just a P. I don't. Unless it's. No, it's not a shield or anything. No, that's a P. It turns a sword into a P.
Well,
and what I'm super excited about is if you scroll down to one of the stretch goals, if they reach $100,000, and I should point out it was a $50,000 ask, we are 2 days into it and they are already at $66,000. So this is funded. If they reach $100,000, there is a very pretty copper set that they are promising. I think I'm going to hold out until the copper set is unlocked, and then I don't think I can resist the copper set. It's nice.
That is nice. I like that. It looks a lot more Pathfinder-y than the silver. Now, these are... I do have to point out that last time when we were speculating, I speculated they would be about the same price as the other medals they do, but it looks like these are a little bit more involved because they're $70 instead of $50. I predicted they would be $50, and I was wrong. But cool. And but still, okay. They're still incredibly beautiful. They're still metal, and I don't know that I will be able to resist still metal. Oh. Well, yeah,
One
you
thing
can
though,
see on the. I have the evolution of their 3D dice up, and you can see that they've how it's advanced and how much more intricate it is, where the actual sides are sculpted and not flat like in the others. Okay.
I am also going to give a shout out to the Encounter Table, which is Robert Brooks' blog. If you go to encountertable.com, Robert Brooks, he was an RPG Superstar a couple of years ago. He's been doing a lot of freelance work, and he will be launching a Kickstarter in October for Aertha, which is a campaign setting that he and a lot of people, a lot of big names in the freelance circles will be working on. And I've shouted out to the Encounter Table before. Usually I shout out to it when there's a specific article that I thought was cool. This is more doing him a favor because at first it looked like we would only have 2 guests on tonight, and I wanted a third. So he would, at the last minute, said he would join us. And then Adam got back to me, and I definitely wanted to talk to the person that's got the #1 slot on the products from other publishers. So I asked Robert if it was okay if, after doing me a favor of being a last-minute guest, he got bumped to a future episode. He was very cool about it. So to repay his coolness, I think you should all go to the Encounter Table, look through his blog, which is updated fairly frequently, and just see what cool is going on that website. Finally, Paramore, are you familiar with ThinkGeek?
Yes, I am.
ThinkGeek's a pretty awesome website.
This is not
Agreed?
a sponsored talk, right?
No, it is not.
Okay, yeah. Well, ThinkGeek is a very awesome website. I've bought lots of things, including a titanium spork.
A titanium spork?
Yes, they sell one. It's cool.
Well, I want to bring people's attention to their D20 cake pan. It's actually a silicone pan, so if you're thinking pan, it's a lot looser than that.
I'm thinking Jello.
What's that?
Jello mold.
Well, it's a cake pan. You could probably get away with Jello. So I've had this for over a year, and I've only used it twice. And the first time, I used it with a cake that just didn't quite rise enough, so it looked like the bottom half of the cake was a D20, and then it was just kind of a mess. And I was pretty disappointed. But on my most recent attempt, here's some nice banana bread, which is a cake that does not rise that much. So you know that if you just fill it 80% full, you will get the full proper D20 shape. And I can say that this pan works. And so if you're ever looking at it thinking like, oh, that's great, but will it ever work? So what does work is it gets the shape. What doesn't work is that it also, the pan is supposed to have the numbers imprinted on it. That never shows up. But I can eat a D20 banana bread, and I'm pretty happy about that. So this is both a plug for that product and to brag that I have a D20 banana bread.
Well, you won't very much longer because it looks like you're going to nibble on it.
No, it's 11 o'clock. It's late for a heavy piece of bread like that. But breakfast will be had.
With that piece of bread, you better put it in something.
Yeah, I've got Tupperware.
All right. So, until next time, I am Jefferson J. Thacker, also known as Param.
And I am Ryan Costello. And if you want to find the path, you need no direction.
Bye, guys.